coming up and all other things. But certainly I know for sure that Nigeria will definitely come out of this. And the other aspect is the appointments. You know,
I think we should take it one after the other.
Yeah.
Femi Morgan, he said he was able to discover from the first day in office of the president that the president is a decisive one. How decisive is this president? Everyone had that mentality, I guess, but his announcements, his appointments, we've had just two. We've had a couple that was everywhere on the media, and after a while they said it was not true. Somebody was said to have been announced as the SA social media. That was not true. Somebody was announced as the spokesperson. That was also not true. And George Akume as SGF was also a rumor before that became true. And one other appointment was made. It's going out of my head right now. Okay, Femi Gbajabiamila as the chief of staff. That was also being rumored before other names were also being mentioned, but that happened to be true. How decisive is President Tinubu in his last 10 days?
I think that Tinubu is looking at the cards, basically, because so many people worked for him to deliver the presidency. And my fear is that he would not pick politicians outside the room of technocrats. He promised Nigerians in his manifesto, Renewed Hope, that he would bring forward a team of technocrats. And here we are seeing pictures and optics that show us that negotiations are still going on. And those negotiations may bring forward a lot of political names. You know, so those are the challenges, perhaps in the back room, where we do not have access to.
And that is causing some unnecessary issues.
So
right?
those are the challenges.
All right, over to you, Daniel. The first few days was actually, those days were really controversial. Fuel subsidy was gone. Then we came to Odin. From Odin, increment immediately. And then the president or the presidency thought it wise to, they've taken this step, let's remove subsidy, even for June. The due before was that fuel subsidy was going to be moved at the end of June, and that they were going to make about 2.6 trillion. But while the Odin was going on, removal was done instantly, and June subsidy was nowhere to be found. Immediately, the queues went off. Odin stopped. A litre was sold for, depending on where you are, Lagos 588 naira if it's NNPC, but for most places in Lagos, 500 and 520. That quick step, that counter attack, how do you see that?
I think this only shows us one thing, and that is the fact that Nigeria, we need a president that will be up to his game. You know, very important. And if you look at what is happening currently, the ways at which Nigerians are managing the situation is really encouraging. And it's a kudos to Nigerians. Of course, we know that we have the system to bear some of these things as it's coming and all that. But, you know, the most important aspect is that for a president to say this, well, of course we know, before now, don't forget, that all the presidential candidates mentioned that they will remove this subsidy.
I think it was the approach.
Yes, the approach, yes. If we don't remove it now, the way the president has done, then we remove it gradually.
So
that means we are
removal.
almost fully. Because like extending the sufferings. Now if we have, there's a price to pay in everything, you know. Now if we have this coming as at this time as we're having it now, gradually Nigerians will come out of it. And as soon as we are able to come out of it, then every other thing will stabilize when the government does the right thing.
All right.
Very important.
Over to you now, Femi Morgan. He's talking about the good. I mean, are we really having any good? We have reduced numbers of cars on the road, if you have been observant. We have less persons going out on the streets now. That can be said to be good or be bad. As at yesterday, Uber, InDrive, and Bolt drivers were protesting. As at today, there was a continuation. A lot of things are going on at the moment. There is quagmire in many parts. Is this truly a good move? 500 naira per litre?
For me, I think that a lot of people do not understand the challenges that Nigerians are facing. I also believe that Tinubu, a lot of his supporters say he has displayed courage in announcing that subsidy should be removed. I think it's misplaced courage. I think that what Tinubu should have done was, because he has put the cart before the horse, he should have consulted with the experts. He should have consulted with labor. He would have consulted with those stakeholders and say, my people, this subsidy, we are taking it out. How do we take it out? And for us, for me, I think that it should have been removed in phases.
In phases.
All right,
snagging. Very quickly, touching on labor now. Labor came out to say we are going to protest. Protest or nothing. We want increment of minimum wage. We want this, we want that. And it looked like there was a protest coming on board. But one afternoon, one night, as they say in local parlance here, they just announced that it wouldn't work because they had discussions. Looking at that, are you faulting labor for backing out and being cowards, or do you think that was the right move to allow discussion to take place?
I think one thing we really need to get is that, when you have a policy like this, okay, the decision to go on strike should not be the first thing. And this is where one aspect I fault labor. You see, when the governments that just came on board, you're supposed to give that government a benefit of doubt. Within the first week, yes, the policy came up as though everybody didn't expect it. Of course, we should know that it has been removed a long time ago. But labor should have been able to say, yes, this is a policy that we should give a little time. Let's see what happens. Because my fellow colleague here mentioned that it's very important that we give.
He was saying that it was done. It shouldn't have been done the way it was done. It was done wrongly.
Yes, I understand where is coming from. You can never say you want to do a policy like this and just handle it without.
Very quickly, Daniel, 500 naira per liter in some places in this part. I'm sure if you go up north or if you go to other places, it can go
700.
You can get it for 700. You can get it for 600. The average man on the streets, Daniel, Nigerians were said to be multidimensionally poor. Nigeria as a country was said to be harboring millions of poor people. And
62%.
Off goes fuel subsidy that was supposed to be helping the masses. People no longer eat 3 square meals a day. In fact, that was even before now. Now it is probably worse than it was in the past. Are you still supporting what many Nigerians are complaining about?
My brother, this thing has been here with us for the last so many years now. In the last 8 years in Buhari's administration, we had a lot of people that couldn't eat. Yes, and that is where I am coming from. You can't have the same thing. You can't have a different result doing the same thing. The fact that some of us, yes, some people could not have something to eat. Have you forgotten the fact also that same subsidy that was there are some people that are milking the country from that subsidy? What difference did it make when we had that subsidy? What different? Can't we just try something different and see what happens within the next 2-3 years?
And the people suffer more?
There is always a price to pay for us to have the nation that we want, the country that we want.
Fantastic.
We must pay a price.
Let me move on to Femi Morgan. A few days after Nigeria removed subsidy, Angola did the same. Remember that Angola and Nigeria are some of the top oil-producing countries in the world. But they removed in 50%. They removed 50% subsidy. They are removing in phases. But oil has gone from what it used to be to well over 100%.
Yeah.
Now you're talking about removal in phases. There will still have been increase in the price. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes, there would have been increase in price, but those increases would have been manageable, and Nigerians would have cushioned up towards those increases.
But the government didn't prepare anything beforehand before the removal.
Subsidy removal has always been an issue for 30 years. 30 years. Babangida, Abacha, all of them tried to remove subsidy. In fact, Abacha was the only one who was able to take subsidy removal funds to do anything tangible in this country. And he did it through Petroleum Trust Fund. Other people who have come forward to say we will remove subsidy we'll use it to build roads, we'll use it to do whatever. They have all failed to achieve that. It has always been a tunnel of corruption, a corruption tunnel. And so the distrust is there.
Obviously.
And that is why I felt that if you remove it in phases, and we can see what you have done with the first phase, then we can trust you in removing another tranche.
Let me quickly pause you there and move to Daniel. You know what I'm liking about this conversation is the fact that it keeps extending from the conversation. Now, removal in phases, distrust from Nigerians on the people they have to deal with to take care of the country. Now, NNPC announced that the money we are saving for June is 2.6 trillion. Subsidy removal has begun. 2.6 trillion naira has been saved. Now, can we trust that the federal government will put into proper usage that 2.6 trillion that would have gone into fuel subsidy for the month of June? And how do you think the federal government can make people trust them the more? This is the 2.6 trillion. This is how we are spending it. Do you think there should be a website for it? Do you think there should be something that should be announced? I mean, this month we have saved 10 naira, or this is how we are spending the 10 naira. What do you think should be done?
This is why I think President Tinubu's administration, in fact, President Tinubu himself, has to be more proactive in ensuring that he regain the trust of Nigerians. Now, because of course, you know, from the election to what we have now, a lot of Nigerians have lost trust in the government. So it's very important that the current government should look deeply on how they will be able to regain Nigerians' trust. And it's very simple, okay? Transparency is one important aspect of government if you need to regain people's trust. The government, within all the sectors, the parastatals, they have to put mechanisms in place to ensure that these things are done and Nigerians know. Yes, we have technologies, we have a way to bring out this information to the public for them to see. And of course, there's no way you have a government and you will not have some people that want to try to cause one means of corruption or the other. But once the president makes it clear, okay, that this is, for example, look, the aspect of the LNC planned strike. The presidency came up, there was a negotiation, and things begin, you know, once the president is not silent about issues, things will move on. If he gives the warning that, come, listen, this particular amount, make accounts that will be transparent. Let the people know how these things are being expended. Let the people know where these funds are going from here. Then definitely we will have a nation where people will trust their government. And it's very important.
Thank you very much. Daniel, very quickly.
Morgan.
Femi, oh my God. Thank you very much, Daniel. Femi, over to you. We saw what happened in the last few days.
Yeah.
To many people, it was these actions that made them trust or believe in the government.
Yes.
Strike, protest in Cameroon, protest in Benin Republic, and neighboring countries look to be more pained than Nigerians.
Yeah.
And even many persons who did not believe in fuel subsidy removal on social media began to say, what is the business of these people with what is going on in Nigeria?
Yeah.
They began to probably understand what the president was talking about. And many persons who felt the biting pinch or the removal of fuel subsidy, I think they began to give some bit of belief in the system. What do you have to say about this?
You know, I have great respect for the person of the presidency, but at the same time we have to be very critical, and we have to be, because that is the kind of mind that we should have, a very critical mind. Why is there protest in Cameroon over the subsidy in Nigeria? It's simple. Fuel is being siphoned from the Nigerian market to our neighboring countries where naturally fuel is expensive. And so people go to the Nigerian NNPC, pick up barrels of fuel and sell illegally despite collecting subsidy. Sell illegally in the Cameroonian, in the Ghanaian markets. And so naturally you understand that
why they are angry.
Naturally you understand why they are angry. Subsidy is a major disease. It's a scam. It's a scourge. It's a scam.
A scam sector.
Yes, it's a racket. And people who benefit from subsidy will never want subsidy to go away. They make a lot of money. That is one point. The second point is that the government is complicit. What is happening to border control?
The border was closed, but things are not coming in, but things are going out.
What is happening to border control? And so if you tell us Nigerians that subsidy removal and all of that issue that's happening, the interactions within the border is a problem, we have to ask the government back. Government, we have handed our borders to you as part of the legitimate sovereignty options, or as part of the legitimate rights, powers that you have. So it behoves on you to give us proper border control, and so fuel would naturally not, so we have to question.
Questions must be asked.
Questions must be asked. The NNPC, I fear for subsidy removal, because the NNPC is a structure that is deeply corrupt.
They were in the system. They knew about this over time.
I fear for the NNPC managing subsidy. I would recommend that another agency set up by the presidency with the right body language transparently manage the funds.
Now, does corruption not creep? Will corruption not creep into that as well?
Like I said, the right body language, the right political body language from the presidency. If the presidency stamps his foot on a thing and provides the right body language, nobody will go out of line. But if the presidency is indecisive, then we'll have problems. The NNPC is owing the government, and the NNPC is saying, government is owing me this much, 2.1 million trillion, and I'm owing government this much, I'm not paying. The NNPC...
They said no payment has been made for subsidy this year.
The NNPC is not paying through the TSA, which is more or less a disobedience of standards. And yet we want to trust NNPC with the lives of Nigerians.
Lastly, on this subsidy matter, before we on this oil matter, before we move on to other parts, because time is flying really badly and we still have a whole lot to talk about. Daniel,
yes.
Suddenly, we've now had working refineries in this country owned by the government. Billions get allocated every annum for oil, for refineries that have not dropped a single drop of oil. But the president has come on to say, or the presidency through the NNPC boss have come out to say that at least one will begin to work before the end of the year. Do you believe this?
I think it all has to do with the willingness to make this work. Okay, it's not that Nigeria does not have the capacity to do this, but because of the failure of previous governments. Okay, and one of the things, like you mentioned, that the president have said is that this, at least one will work before the end of the year. Let's be hopeful, really. But my reservation is the aspect where the president mentioned that he's going to provide increase in terms of to ensure that the effect of the removal of subsidy, that will be, and increasing salaries. Yes, that's up to an extent. But I want to ask a question. That is where I'm coming from. If you are doing this for the people in the sector,
in the government sector, what happens to people
private
outside?
sector? What happens to private sector? Because the young man there,
private sector, everyone should fall in line. Yeah. But what happens to the man who does not have a job? I mean, somebody who is not in the professional line of job, the barber, the...
Yes, there's a way, of course, within the economic structure. I'm not an economic expert, but there's a way with these things work. Okay,
but it rises as well.
Yes, it will.
The income that is coming in.
For example, if I'm within the government sector and the salary is increased, at least I will have the opportunity to spend more. Okay,
but everything you spend on increases as well.
Yes, and that person also gets the dividends.
And that is inflation.
Yes, even within that understanding, okay, there's a way we'll be able to manage it. And it's very important. Yes, there's a way.
All right, I think it's just time for us to leave the fuel subsidy issue alone, because
there's so much to say.
We have so much to talk about, but we'll be monitoring it. We'll be coming your way again next week Thursday. We'll be talking about issues that are trending in the polity. Whatever it is happening in the polity will definitely be fed to you on the roundtable. But very quickly now to a very major aspect of the Tinubu presidency as well. Issues that have been talked about. Appointments. I think I'll just do SGF with you, and I'll do chief of staff with you. SGF George Akume, not
Yes,
Central,
yes.
right? Is he the right man for the job? Is he the man that you feel good enough?
I would say Mr. President will answer better. All right, that's by the way. Anyway, now you see, the president have, for me, I have a kind of a belief that the president has been able to take the best man for the job. Okay, what comes out after these appointments with his performance will determine what we now say. Yes, this he didn't make any mistake. But we really need to get the SGF. That office has a lot of ministries to cater for. So it's now his responsibility to ensure that, yes, he will not disappoint the president. And it's very important. Yes, very important, very important. But from the region where he has been picked from, Middle Belt, okay, I think it will give a sense of belonging to the people within that region. That yes, we have of course, if you can see during the swearing-in, the governor of the state, the new governor was there. So it shows a sense of belonging to that region, and that is what we need. Appointment that will encourage the unity that we need is very important. And so,
over to you now, Chief of Staff Femi Gbajabiamila. The speaker he was a speaker at the time, and it was controversial. Some people started to quote sections of the Constitution why you cannot undo. But they came out to say, here, he's not coming into that position now.
Yes.
He has only been appointed, but he will not resume. But Femi Gbajabiamila, Chief of Staff to President Mallam Mele Tinubu, square peg in the square O?
Yes.
You think so?
Yes. Politically, you do not pick someone you do not trust as Chief of Staff.
Obviously.
It's like picking your CAOAS.
Yeah.
You have to pick someone that you've worked with for years. Yeah. And Gbajabiamila fits it totally. The language, even the body language, even the optics right now shows that the conversation between the president and the chief of staff will be an open door conversation. You know, a conversation between brothers that have worked that path for a long time.
To succeed.
You know. The former speaker is a very brilliant man, you know, and he understands the dynamics of having to deal with many people from across several boards as a former speaker. You know, hopefully we can trust him with the lawmaking aspect of the job of the president. You know, having that experience of coming from the House of Rep. He should be able to tell the president the kind of laws
and
that
he
should
relate,
sign,
how to relate with them,
and how to also relate with the representatives, the arms. You know.
Very quickly, talking about the legislature now, the controversy is coming up, the politics heated, and Kyari, Akpabio, it looks like the House of Rep issue is settled already because the president met with the likes of Honorable Gadi and other guys. Dogua is presently in the same camp now with Honorable Tijjani Umar, and it looks like the House of Reps is settled. But let's talk about the Senate now. Kyari up against Akpabio. The party has pitched their tent with Akpabio, but it looks like Kyari is not going down without the fights. Reports had it that yesterday his men did not attend the meeting with the president. Himself and his senators that are supporting him did not attend. And a lot is happening. A lot is happening in that space. What do you think? The elections are coming up very soon.
I think this is good for democracy, really. It's good for democracy. It's one of the things that makes up democracy. Okay. But what I would not support is that they should now be turning the House into the fight into another level, taking it to another level. But it's also very important to note that we don't have another set of leadership that will turn the Senate into a rubber stamp Senate. Because from all indications, if the man supported by the president emerge, then we might be experiencing the same thing we experienced during Buhari's
Assembly.
Of course.
Over to you now, Femi Morgan. Sorry for cutting you short. I'm looking at our time as
very
well.
Important.
The Green Chamber.
Yeah.
Femi Gbajabiamila is coming on as Chief of Staff, and it looks like he had gotten the whole place settled for Abbas to come on. But a few weeks ago, the chairman of the APC was saying that they shouldn't start calling you Speaker Abbas yet because it is not done and dusted.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at the Green Chamber right now, and I can't see too many persons that are making a noise like in the red chamber and giving Abbas a fight for that position. Do you think it's all well and settled for him?
Yeah, I have a fear for the National Assembly. Because the National Assembly is supposed to serve as checks and balances to the presidency.
Yeah. And
so if we have shadows, if we have minions running the National Assembly,
from the villa to the assembly,
it's going to be bad for all of us. You know. And it also shows the kind of party we are having to deal with. The representatives need to do more internal negotiations than external negotiations. Those internal negotiations are not mature. They should sit down and bring us and give us the best man for the job.
You don't think Abbas is the best man for that job? He has the highest number of bills that became law.
Yeah, I may not be able to say he's the best man for the job. But what I would like to say is that
you want them to have something internal.
Internal negotiations, internal conversations are important because the speaker needs to earn the respect of the men who are going to be on the floor of the house. But Gbajabiamila was able to do and earn the respect of the men on the floor.
I think so.
You know, where
even the opposition guys
irrespective of the party.
You
know, and so you have to earn that trust. You have to earn that respect. And that respect will not come from one order from above. So we don't want a situation where, like we had in 1999 to 2007 during Obasanjo, where we had the National Assembly
removal and replacement,
National Assembly
like a parlor party.
You know, National Assembly people clashing and almost beating one another on the floor of the house because there was no control. The control was external. We need a gathering of mature minds who can sit down in the chamber and say, having looked at the dynamics, the regional dynamics, the social dynamics, this is the man for the job. And this is the man that can do the job.
I think it's time for us to move on. Interesting day it has been right here. But we would definitely not live without talking about one very, very controversial thing that has been happening in the polity in the last 48 hours or more. And that was a gathering where the immediate past governor of Kaduna State, Governor Nasir El-Rufai, made some statements that have been tagged controversial. We all know that two major issues give us problems in this country. One is the issue of where you are from, the issue of either you are from this part of the country or from that part. And the second major issue is religion. Daniel, those statements were very, very controversial. What do you have to say about what happened?
Of course, I agree with you. In fact, when the news started filtering out, I went online and I saw the video. I tried to analyze the video very well, you see. And really, it's so disappointing because if you look at how and the way religion, the level at which religion has brought us in this country, we really need to think out of the box and begin to look at the need for this country to be better than what we have right now. It's surprising to see how an outgoing governor will be encouraging Islamizing a nation. I mean, for crying out loud, Nigeria is a diverse country. A diverse country with multi-ethnic, tribal religion. So how somebody will be saying, okay, it's not even coming, yes, it's not even coming from just very funny. So we really need to check such excesses. And in fact, if left for me, I would say the necessary arrangement should be done to ensure that such things does not repeat itself. We really need to check such attitude.
Femi Morgan, I mean, this man just left power a few days ago. You expect that he's probably relaxing somewhere, you know, taking a cool break after 8 years of tough governance, especially with how Kaduna State is. But here he was in public, I mean, making such divisive statements. Ethnicity and religion are major problems, and the other statesman was eating up the polity.
Yeah, one cannot say that it's a slip of tongue. He was actually showing grandstanding. He was grandstanding at a gathering where he felt that he could say certain things to appeal to religious sentiments, you know. But the counter of that is that the reality in Kaduna and the complex structure of Kaduna, you know, isn't fitting for such an utterance. Kaduna is a city of several ethnic groups
coming together.
There are Yorubas in Kaduna that have been in Kaduna for 40 years, all their lives, and there are Yorubas from Ogbomoso and all of that. There are Christians in southern Kaduna who have been facing a lot of what they call.
In fact, a quick reflection on the 2023 election shows that there was a divergence from what he was saying and the results. Because if you look at the results, you see that it looked like people are saying a different thing from what the government.
So the southern Kaduna people who are largely Christians, who are almost 50%, you know, marginally Christians are also are shocked because they have been going through what they call deliberate genocide from another block of people who are northern and who are Muslims. So it's a dicey situation that you don't want to plunge into much, and people would accuse you of being a bigot. But at the same time, we have to be
very careful.
We have to say the way it is, that El Rufai can be reckless sometimes, and he has also displayed that recklessness recently.
All right, interesting conversation there. But very quickly, we have had a lot of persons within and outside the country analyzing Tinubu's emergence, Tinubu's coming on board, Tinubu's first days in office, Tinubu's this and Tinubu's that. And it looks like not so many persons are talking about the governors. Not so many persons are talking about policies, these new governors, especially, of course, we had former governors who were there 4 years ago, who are still there now, second-term governors. But we have new governors, governors from places that are heated up, governors from places like Benue. What policies are they bringing on board? Governors like in places like Abia, where salaries have been owed consistently, same as Benue. Other governors, Zamfara State governor, where they are dealing with banditry, the governor Dauda Lawal. New governors, what policies are we expecting from all these individuals who are mainly popular? Looking at the votes, even before the election, you saw that these guys were very much popular, and the elections came by, and they looked like they still won. Dauda Lawal for one, Alex Oti for one, Reverend Father Isent Aliyah for one. What governors are you expecting something great from?
Let me start with the aspect where, during the campaigns, okay, a lot of these governors will come up with juicy promises where you say these promises should be able to take us to the next level. And at the end of the administration, you find out that it will be worse. In fact, the states will be worse than what they had initially. Look at Abia State, for example. Okay, it is expected that the governor should be able to perform, but what do we have? So what I expect is that some of these governors should be able to do well. Okay, they should be able to earn the trust. Yes, for example, you have that of Abia State, like I mentioned earlier. The state has a position. Kaduna also is another state. Okay, you're very important. So we really need to ensure that for these states to be able to grow, and as expected, okay, the governors need to put their hands on deck and work and gain the people's trust. Then also ensure that the welfare of the people, which is the constitution, they made the oath, they swore when they were sworn in. They meet up with that. So it's very important. Really.
Over to you now, Femi Morgan. What governors do you expect something fantastic from?
The governors have a lot on their table. And a lot of governors, apologies to them, are lazy. They expect the federal government to dole out revenues, ecological fund, and all of that. And unfortunately for them, they do not understand that the real power and the real exercise of power and the real demystification of poverty lies with the governor. And so when you look at the poverty rate, they wanted 3 million Nigerians that are poor, and you look at states, you look at Zamfara, you look at those states that are mentioned, you look at Yobe, you realize that, and you ask yourself, what has the Yobe governor been doing with the revenue coming to him? What has happened in Zamfara in the past 24 years of democracy? Is it that they were not getting the same revenue with other states that are thriving? While other states are talking about partnership with international organizations to bring in infrastructure, airports, and the rest. Other states are just enjoying the revenue. It's a problem. And we don't talk about these governors too much. We hammer the president too much. We leave the governors alone. I want to see what Peter Umba would do in Enugu. I want to see what Alex Oti would do.
Nabia.
Especially the Labour Party governors. We want to see...
There's just one Labour Party governor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Alex Oti. I want to see what the Labour Party governor would do. We want to know whether we can trust him enough to show us an example of what Peter Obi would have provided. You know, there are other governors. There are other governors who are even doing a second term. We expect more from the Lagos State governor, a lot. We expect more from the Ogun State governor. You know, in terms of insecurity, infrastructure, good roads.
Infrastructure is very major.
Good roads, you know. We have even drug abuse. You know, apologies to him if he's angry. But that's the truth. You know, we expect a lot from the Oyo State governor, especially in the Southwest where intellectualism is high, education is high. You know, we should expect, you know, that wide gap should be there. You know, that depth should be there. You know, instead of the reverse where we always hear about crime, thuggery, and the rest. They have the role. They have the role to revamp and rejig
proximity to Lagos.
Rejig issues. You know, rejig their economic team, rejig their infrastructural team, you know, and do what they need to do before they go.
All right, very quickly now, the president met with governors yesterday. Everybody this time, not just the progressive governors that he had a meeting with the other day, and a few governors were missing. The Edo State governor was not there, but Ondo State did not have anybody representing. The governor was not there at all. Deputy Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa was equally not there. Remember that recently there was rumor about the health situation of the Ondo State governor, Barrister Rotimi Akeredolu SAN, and then eventually on the day of the FA Cup final, Manchester City coming up against Manchester United, there was a video of just 11 seconds of where the governor was sitting in front of the TV and supporting his darling Manchester United. But after that video, nothing have been heard from the governor. Reports also have it that the state executive council meetings have not held in recent time. Yesterday, there was nobody representing Ondo State people, not the governor, not the deputy governor. Is Ondo State on autopilot, Femi?
I don't think so. I think that governance is not a one-man show, you know, and if the Ondo State governor is not in Abuja, then he must be busy doing something else. You know, I have a knack for a pessimistic knack for governors who gallivant to Abuja. Your work is in your state. Sit in your state. Mind the business of your state. Go to Abuja if you are 100% needed. You know, we don't want governors who go to Abuja to take pictures and sit with the president when their state is burning. We don't need those governors. We don't need such attitude. We need governors who can be in their state and deliver what. If a simple phone call, a Zoom meeting with the president and a couple of others will be respectfully accepted. We don't need lazy governors.
Daniel, yeah, we don't need lazy governors, but that was the first meeting of the new president with governors, no representation from that state. Is something wrong somewhere?
I think definitely, like you've said, something is wrong somewhere. It is a different ballgame because this is where I will not agree with my colleague. It's a different ballgame to say, okay, governors going to Abuja. Of course, definitely you always have such situation. That is why they have other appointees. The governor is not the one that will go and carry the load and doing all the assignments. He was definitely is there to have meetings with presidents and other governors. And in case there are things that needs to be brought to the states, benefits, it will be there. Such meeting is very important for the state governor to be there. If others are there, why are you not there? So really, I think the states need to do something very important, and that is telling us the reason why the governor was unable to attend that program, because the benefit that would have been given or probably shared, what I don't understand, among them there, the state will be lacking behind. For the people, the state will be lacking behind. So it's very important. And the reason why the people elected their governor in the first place, so that such benefits will come to them. Of course. So it's very important that the governor, so why the governor is not, was unable to attend, and why he has not been visible lately, the people should let us know. Of course, we remember there were a lot of rumors. There were a lot of rumors.
PDP are asking questions already.
A lot of rumors flying around about the governor, that this is what has happened and all that. But the state is here to clarify. They only said the governor is okay.
Exactly.
Okay. What is wrong with the governor?
Where has he been?
Let the people, even aside from the people in the states, the other people in other states, we want to know, because it's very important, because that state is not in isolation. The state is also within other states. So definitely we have to know that state, the people there, they are okay.
And as a senior advocate, he understands exactly.
Of course, very important. He has to, there's a bilateral relationship with other states, with other countries and all that. Very important. So the governor has to be there. So the state has to provide answers. Why the governor was not there?
It has been a very wonderful session here, if you ask me, on this episode on the Roundtable. Like I said when I was introducing the show for the day, I said I had two very wonderful guests with me here. Hopefully you'll be seeing their faces more often, because I did enjoy the show. I guess you did as well. Daniel Anyotoye has been the man on my right. On my left has been Femi Morgan. Together we've been having a very fantastic show. Of course, this wouldn't have been possible without the men and women behind the scenes pulling the strings. It was a very, very fantastic one from them. And on behalf of the entire team, this is me, Godwin Emefiele, saying have yourselves a fantastic day. Bye for now.
ne muna da al'adunmu, ba za mu yi alkawari ko cikin duhu ba ne mu dawo mu ce ba a yi ba. Muka ce ba mu yadda ba. Mataki na farko kenan. Mataki na biyu, da aka yadda da haka ko kuma suka gaba sarki sai Allah suka bari, mu muka tsaya cikinmu, muka tsaya muka ce to waye in muka zaɓe shi, na farko yana da ƙarfin ya ci zaɓe, na biyu za mu fara maganin siyasan addini da ƙabilanci a ƙasar nan. Muka yi shawara, muka ce Asiwaju za mu yi. Lokacin da muka yi shawara za mu bi Asiwaju, ni ban shiri da shi, muna faɗa. Amma Professor Akintola ya zo da shugabanninsu daga Lagos, suka ce ga tunaninsu, suna so idan mulki ya dawo kudu, tunda mun tsaya mun ce mulki ya dawo kudu, sun ji daɗin haka. Su Yarabawa na Southwest suna da matsala. Musulminsu in ya fito zai nemi shugabanci sai a ce ba dama ya nema domin ba zai ci zaɓe ba. Ba zai ci zaɓe ba don dole sai Kirista daga Southwest ne zai iya fitowa ya nemi shugabancin Najeriya don a ɗauki musulmi daga Arewa ya zama Vice President. Suka ce tun Abiola ba a sake yi ba. Suna son haka. Na ce to ku je ku kawo mana wanda za mu bi. Ya ce Asiwaju, na ce ba ma shiri da shi. Ya ce ku shirya don addinin musulunci. Na ce za mu shirya. To muka fito aka yi haka, Asiwaju ya samu tiket ɗin. Kuma da ya samu, mun san ba yadda zai yi. Babu yadda zai yi in ya samu tiket, dole ya ɗauki musulmi mataimakinsa. In ba haka ba zai ci zaɓe ba. Kamar yadda na ce siyasa sai ka tsaya kayan lissafinka, ba wani maganan tunanin haka. To Allah subhanahu wata'ala ya ga zuciyarmu, kuma wallahi mu da muka tsaya muka yi haka, wallahi ba don kanmu muka yi ba. Ni dai na san ni da gwamnan Zamfara Bello Matawalle ba don muna son wani abu muka yi ba. Kila sauran suna son wani abu, amma wallahi ni da Bello Matawalle mun ce kawai a yi haka.